Easy peasy tens. Some of you might know why tens are really easy to multiply by, and you might have gotten a hint in the other video, but we're going to go over a really quick, nice little trick to do with multiplying by tens, and it has to do all with these zeros here, okay? All right, you don't need a pencil or a paper for this today. All you need is the ability to count, okay? So if you can count up to 10, that's all I need you to do right now. All right, so let's look at this one. Here's a times table that, well, let's not put any numbers down because you guys aren't copying any of this. So let's just look at this for a minute. 10 times 10. That's kind of one of the first times tables that people remember. 5 times 5 is 25. That's an easy one. 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, so if we know this, if we took 10 of the counting base 10 sticks, if we took 10 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hope that's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 10. So if we took 10 of those and we made 10 groups of those, we would get 100. Okay. 10 times 10 equals 100. But this is the little trick that I want to show you. 1 times 1 is 1. Now let's count how many zeros. So you ready? This is the part you get to do. Okay, count how many zeros we have. That one and that one. Okay, if you can count, you should have counted 2. Look how many zeros are in the answer. 1, 2. Okay, let's try another one like that. Let's try 20 times 10. Okay, so let's take the numbers that aren't zeros and multiply them. 2 times 1 is 2. Now let's count our zeros. 1, 2. How many zeros should I write right here? 2 zeros. Okay, the next one I want you to figure out in your head. 200 times 10. Pause the video and see if you can figure out how many zeros that answer is going to have. 2 times 1 is 2. Zeros. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 zeros in the question. That means there's going to be 1, 2, 3 zeros in the answer. Okay, let's keep going. So just all you need is your fingers and your brain and count and think. Here we go. 500 times 30. Okay, so first thing you do, 5 times 3. 15. Okay, what do we do next? Count your zeros. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I bet your moms and dads know this trick, and your older brothers and sisters. So when things have a lot of zeros in them, this is really, really, really quick way to figure things out. Okay, so 500 times 30 is 15,000. Okay, that got to be a big number really quickly. Okay, let's try another one. 70 times 2,000. Okay, now don't just sit there and wait for me to write down the answer. Think to yourself, 7 times 2 or 2 times 7. 14. Now count up your zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So your answer should have 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when we're writing numbers that have a lot of zeros, we always start from the ones. So here's the ones, 10s, hundreds. That's where the comma goes. Okay, so we have that group of 3. We have our ones, and then we have our group of 3, our thousands right there. Ones, tens, hundreds, and here we have our ones, tens, hundred, thousands. Okay, all right, here's another one. Okay, figure out what the number at the beginning is going to be. 8 times 3 is 24. Now count up your zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to write 5 zeros in here. Now, if I want to put my comma in properly, there's my group of 3. There's my group of 3. So the answer is 2,400,000. 80 times 30,000, 2,400,000. Okay, now I'm going to give you a tricky one. Okay, do the first part. Four times 5 is 20. Now how many zeros? 1, 2. So does that mean we add 2 more zeros? Or does that mean we count this as one of the zeros? This is when it gets tricky, is when these two numbers multiplied end in a number that ends in 0. So the way to remember this is the answer to 4 times 5. That is 20. Now you add on 2 more zeros. 1, 2. 40 times 50 equals 2,000. And just think about that for a sec. Would this make sense? 40 times 50 equals 200. Would that make sense? 40 groups of 50. Well, I can count by 50s right now, and I can tell you that it only takes 4 groups of 50 to make 200. So 40 groups of 50 would be much, much bigger than that. It would be 2,000. Okay? Okay, let's try another one that has a bit of a trick on it. And I want you to figure out this whole answer yourself. Go ahead. All right, 5 times 2 is 10. Now how many more zeros do we add? 2 more. Okay, so 5 times 200, 1,000. Let's see if that makes sense. I'm going to count by 200 5 times. 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000. So that makes perfect sense. It would not make sense if it was 100, right? Think about that. 5 times 200 equals 100. Does that make sense? No, no sense whatsoever. Okay, so 5 times 2 ends in a 10. That's okay, the 0 stays. And now all the extra zeros in our question need to get added on. Okay, and we're just going to do one last question here. And I want you to pause after I write it. And then you are going to figure out how many zeros should be in this answer. When you think you have the answer, you can unpause it and see if you are correct. Here we go. And pause. All right, the first part you should have done was 4 times 5 is 20. So you had to remember that there's a 0 there. The second part you should have done was counted up all your zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and added 6 more zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and let's see. So that's 6 zeros plus the 1 from before. So you should have 7 zeros altogether. And I'm going to group these in their place values. And I end up with 20 million. Okay, so good job. If you got that right, you didn't have to write down any of that. And please remember that little trick because it makes things so much easier for you.